Hi, I'm Nikki, the Obsessive Bookseller. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my goals and updates for the first half of 2022. I set myself some pretty reasonable goals at the beginning of the year. I'll link that video if you're interested. And for the most part, I think I've been doing a good job at keeping up on most of the challenges. There's a couple I've let slip, but I'm kind of okay with that. But I have a couple of trackers in my bullet journal that I've been using to keep track of everything that I've been doing. And by the way, I've had a lot of requests to show my book journaling, which is a video I'm probably going to post sometime in August. I mean, what I've got here isn't even the half of it. I have an entire journal dedicated to book journaling and keeping track of things. That way I've got some fun ideas that I want to share. So yes, stay tuned for that. But anyway, for the moment, so far this year, I have read 41 books, and my overall goal for the year was 80. Now, I've also read 8 nonfiction, but I'm not counting those until the end of the year because I wanted to read 80 sci-fi fantasy type books. So 41's pretty good, especially considering how many tomes I've tackled this year so far. I also had a goal of reading 20 books physically, like physical books, and due to an eye strain injury, it's been a couple of years since I've been able to get through more than one a month. I figured 20 was a good ambitious goal. It equals out to about 2 a month with a little bit of wiggle room. And most of the books that I've been reading physically have been tomes. So at the moment, I have read 8 out of that 20. And I might not make that goal this year, but 8's still pretty good for halfway through. I'm thrilled with that. Next is my Audible challenge. I set this before that amazing Audible sale sometime in April or March, where I brought home like another 100 titles from my library. But my intention was to read more of the books I already paid a credit for, books that I already owned, instead of relying on the library for everything. And now I'm not sure if it's fair to the challenge to count the ones that I have purchased since, or if I'm just counting the ones that existed on my Audible library before I made that huge purchase. And somehow, even with what started as 115 unread titles and is now well over 200, even with that, I have only managed to listen to 10 books from my Audible collection. I'm kind of considering that a little bit of a fail. And I wish I had been tracking this challenge for the last few years because I'm pretty sure that it's even better than I normally do. When I buy audiobooks, I have a tendency to think, oh, they'll always be there, so I don't have to stress about getting to them in a timely manner. Whereas a library book becomes available and it just blinks at you and yells at you and makes you make decisions constantly until you finally check it out and read it, so it's much more in your face. I'm trying to switch that mindset. If it was good enough that it was worth spending like at least $10 on, I better listen to it sooner than later. This next category I'm really excited about. My goal was to read 30 physically owned books. So far I am at 16 of 30, and I'm really happy with that number. My Read, Burn, Hoard series has been really beneficial for me trying to get through my physical collection. Because I did the same thing with books. I'd buy them and then they'd just sit there with a lower high priority than anything else that I was doing with the library. But that is changing. In this case, I am allowing myself to count the books that I've bought since the challenge began, because I figure, if I can read a book within a month of picking it up, that's like best case scenario. I also have 2 genre-specific challenges, Project Sci-Fi and Project Urban Fantasy. Project Sci-Fi is going great. I wanted to read 10 sci-fi books by the end of the year. I'm already at 9. And I've really enjoyed most of the things I've read, so I have no intention of stopping that momentum anytime soon. Project Urban Fantasy, on the other hand, I've only read 4, which I guess if we're evaluating halfway through the year, that's right on par, but I really feel like I could squeeze in a few more here and there. They only take a couple of days a piece to get through, and 2 of the 4 were new releases, which I really don't think I should even count, because I would have read them anyway. I was more wanting this challenge to help me read more backlist, but whatever. So anyway, that one's struggling a little bit. Another goal I've been focusing on, which was not mentioned, I think in that initial goals video, is my incomplete series challenge. I've decided that the fewer series I have going at once, the more free I'll feel to just immerse into a world without feeling like I need to get through it quickly to move on to the next pending thing. Right now I have so many open series that I'm feeling pulled in quite a few directions because I've got a lot of good ones going. It'd be one thing if I only had one or two that I really loved. That way I could just focus on those and knock them out. But yeah, too many things outgoing, and I think it's the reason why I feel a little more anxious. It's a working theory. I have to actually get myself down to only a few series open at a time, and then I can evaluate whether or not I'm delusional or whether it actually does help me feel like I'm getting a more fulfilling reading experience. For sure, it's better when I can get to a sequel within a year as opposed to at least a 2-year wait between books in a series at one point. But right now I don't think I'm quite that bad, at least with the ones that are higher priority. But anyway, I even made myself a list on Goodreads. I'll talk about it in another video. Per that, I've figured out my stats for the year so far. So I have picked up 15 books this year that have progressed series. So I really like making progress. I have finished 5, which is pretty good. Not bad, but I wish it was a little higher. This is the kicker though. I have started 18 series. That is a lot. Of the 18 I started, I abandoned 6. I don't think I've abandoned anything this year that I had already been reading. So yeah, picked up the first book, decided it wasn't for me, and abandoned the whole thing. So that's pretty good. So instead of 18 open, I'm down to 12. And then finally, I have brought 4 series up to date, mostly by reading new releases. If I ever want to get to a place of zen where I only have a few series open, I definitely need to fix that ratio, because 5 finished series and 6 abandoned for 18 having started, I need those numbers to kind of flip. I do have a plan though. I'm planning on the rest of the year mostly focusing on series that I've already started, and then using Patreon Book Club as something to look forward to start new series. Because I do crave new series, and I do need that occasional payoff of being able to dive into something new. All of these goals are fun to work on, and I'm really glad that I'm making progress. But I think the overall goal, the one that's not quite as tangible, is my focus this year on reading the best books first. That's one of my mantras, and my other one is life's too short to read books you're not enjoying. And this year I made a concerted effort at the beginning of the year to kind of identify my highest priority series, the things that I was really excited to read, and only focusing on those. Because I have what I call ooh shiny syndrome, where I'll drop all my reading plans to pick up something random and new, which can be fun, but a lot of times I get myself into obligation reading with that, like new arcs or whatever, and you kind of got to finish what you start when you request an arc. At least I feel like I need to. So yeah, I've really done a good job at limiting my ooh shiny moments and just focusing on the books that I am really loving. I wanted to look back at the entire year and be excited about everything on the list. Be like, oh yes, I started that because I was really excited to read it. And I can say that about the vast majority of the things on my list this year. If you look back at past years, I have so many books, a lot of them obligation reads for Audiophile magazine, that I just was not excited to read, but picked up anyway. At least a third of my reading was obligation reading that I wasn't enjoying. So this year, it's been all about self-indulgence and just reading whatever strikes my fancy, and I am very pleased with that. So those are my updates for the year so far. I want to know how your reading goals are going this year. Did you set any? Are you working towards them? Any fun ones going on? I think my Read Burn Hoard reading books that I actually own has been the most fun so far, but I'm also really enjoying kind of chipping away at my incomplete series. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you next time.